For centuries, we've looked at the pyramids and asked, how did they build them? But the better question is, who built them? And what was it like to live not as a pharaoh, but as one of the ordinary people behind the stone? Ancient Egypt conjures images of gods and pharaohs, golden tombs, and monumental pyramids. Yet behind these wonders were thousands of workers, craftsmen, and families, people who lived, loved, ate, drank, and died in the shadow of eternity. For a long time, myths painted them as slaves under the whip. But archaeology tells us a different story. Many of the pyramid builders were skilled workers, fed well, paid in bread, beer, and meat, and housed in bustling villages with bakeries, breweries, and clinics. Today, we step inside their lives. The day began with the rising sun. In the workers' village at Giza, discovered in the 1990s, families stirred awake in cramped mud brick homes. The air filled with the smell of baking bread, ground on stone querns by women who worked tirelessly at dawn. Breakfast? Not what you might expect. Workers ate bread made of barley and emmer wheat and washed it down with a thick, soupy beer, the staple of ancient Egypt. Each man received a daily ration of about 10 pints of beer, safer than water and full of calories. Archaeologists even found giant communal bakeries with clay ovens capable of producing thousands of loaves each day. So no, the pyramid was not built by starving slaves. It was fueled by bread and beer. Work was hard, but it was organized. Workers were divided into crews with names like the Friends of Khufu. Graffiti left inside the pyramids shows these team names proudly scrawled on blocks, like ancient work gangs or sports teams. The builders were not just laborers. They were stonemasons, carpenters, engineers, and scribes who managed supplies and logistics. Copper chisels chipped limestone, while sledges dragged blocks across the sand, possibly aided by water poured in front of the sled to reduce friction. There were also seasonal laborers, farmers who worked on the pyramids during the Nile's flood season when their fields lay underwater. Building became a form of national service. Life wasn't just work. Excavations reveal evidence of family life, women weaving, children with toys, men relaxing after long shifts. Homes were modest, 2 or 3 rooms with mud brick walls, reed mats on the floor, clay ovens, and jars of beer. The community was surprisingly well planned, with streets, workshops, and even cemeteries where workers were respectfully buried, and they weren't neglected in death. Skeletons show signs of medical treatment, bones healed after fractures, evidence of surgery, even pain relief with herbal remedies. Workers were valued. These were not faceless slaves. They were people, and their families lived in the very shadow of the pyramids they raised. The diet of pyramid workers was surprisingly rich. Records show that about 21 cattle and 23 sheep were slaughtered daily to feed the workforce. Alongside meat, they ate bread, onions, lentils, dates, and figs. The humble onion was so central that workers were once said to have wept for their onions when rations ran short. Beer was everywhere, not the fizzy drink of today, but thick, sweet, almost porridge-like. It was food and drink in one. The long-standing myth of slave labor comes mostly from later Greek historians like Herodotus, who may have exaggerated Egypt's cruelty. But modern excavations tell a different story. Builders were fed well, treated medically, housed in organized villages, and buried with respect. They weren't slaves in chains. They were workers contributing to a project that symbolized divine order, Ma'at. The pyramids were not just tombs. They were national projects, and to build them was to serve eternity. After long hours of toil, the night belonged to the workers. They gathered for songs, stories, and laughter. Children played with carved dolls and animal figurines, while elders told tales of gods and the afterlife. And always, looming above them, the pyramid grew higher, stone by stone. For those who built them, the pyramids were not just tombs of kings. They were proof that even ordinary hands could shape eternity. For thousands of years, the pyramids have stood as symbols of kings, gods, and immortality. But beneath their stones lies another story. The story of bakers, brewers, masons, and mothers. The story of people, ordinary people, who built the extraordinary. Behind every monument of history are the lives of those who raised it. The story of history is filled with mysteries like this, ordinary lives woven into extraordinary civilizations. If you enjoyed walking through the sands of ancient Egypt with me today, make sure to like this video, share it with a friend who loves history, and subscribe to Sticks and Stones so you never miss the next journey into our past. What chapter of history should we explore next? Leave your ideas in the comments below, and together, we'll bring the ancient world back to life.